good morning, everybody. Or evening, wherever you are. Or afternoon, everybody. Good. Well, I want to continue to do the same meditation every time. We're going to bless our speech. Bless our speech. It's the cutest little meditation. It's the most unusual thing. It's something you'd never think of when you look at it. I just can't get over this little meditation. So here but get our bodies kind of comfy first. Remember, our bodies don't meditate. Our mind meditates. So just remember the kind of the classical eight something sort of point posture, which the great meditators over the centuries have found to be most conducive to good meditation, meaning to help the mind. The mind meditates, but we're very addicted to our bodies, So if our body feels good, we think, oh, I had a good meditation. But that's rather silly, It's not the criterion of a good meditation. That's your mind that does it. So, of course, the classical posture that all the greatest yogis over the centuries have found to be the most conducive is what they call the full lotus position. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, if you can start your session with this, it's really auspicious, because when we understand the way we're structured according to the Vajrayana, which is similar to the Ayurvedic system, similar to the Chinese, a little bit, about how we have and how we used to think in our culture 1,000 years ago, maybe, or 800, I don't know, something. But we've got this subtle physical, we've got this wind energy, this subtle physical energy. So we've got the gross body and the gross mind, the sensory, they go together. Then you've got subtle consciousness and subtle mind, subtle consciousness and subtle body. And the subtle body is this wind energy coursing through these 72,000 subtle channels. And the interesting point is, and this is very relevant to our meditation, these subtle wind energy, or prana in Sanskrit, which is the basis of our health. The Tibetan doctors studied 13, 14 years, these different winds. This is their model. So all of our states of mind, all of our different states of mental consciousness are inextricably linked to these different wind energies. So this is where the body and mind have an intimate, inextricable relationship, and this is very relevant to this meditation we do. So, and then, of course, we have very subtle wind and very subtle consciousness. So here we are. So for the body, for these subtle winds to go smoothly through the different channels, and the mind, therefore, to function properly, we need to be sitting upright. So if we're sitting slumped, the winds get stuck, and then the mind is connected to the winds. The minds ride on the winds, they say. Then the mind becomes sluggish. So having the body upright is really crucial. But also the point here is the legs. Having the legs in this full lotus position, it's auspicious because the most advanced meditations, in the most advanced meditations of the final stages of Tantra, they call it completion stage Tantra. This is the necessary posture. But also, practically speaking, for the yogis who spend years in meditation, they can sit upright and stable for hours and hours upon end without toppling over. This is the point. This is the advantage of this full lotus position. So if we can do it, fantastic. If we can't, but if we can start our session, even for a second, His Holiness is very auspicious. It kind of creates the cause to be able to sit like this in the more advanced meditations. Maybe next life for most of us, but it doesn't matter. So the first is the legs. Full lotus position. If you can't do that, have one leg on the other thigh. If you can't do that, have ordinary cross-legged. If you can't do that, be in a chair. So second is the bottom. So, if cross-legged, you need a cushion that is suitable for the way you sit. But the ideal, if you're very flexible, you'd have a cushion just under your coccyx. So it just slightly thrusts you up and forward, which gives it, otherwise you sort of feel like you're toppling backwards. But if we're sitting in a chair, obviously, we need to be sitting upright. You don't slump into the back of the chair. You hold your own body upright. That's important. But then when you hold your body upright, what happens? You tense your muscles. So have your whole body upright, but your muscles relaxed. That's really important. Flop your muscles. Your shoulders upright, but relaxed. The hands in the meditation gesture or mudra, like this. Left underneath, right on top, thumbs touching. And there's different yogis have different postures, but this is a classic one we learn, this gesture, this mudra. And I've heard, I remember, I can't think of the source, but there's some subtle channels related to bodhicitta that are at the thumb tips, something like that. So they're touching, has some meaning, and resting in your lap. Then finally your head, not thrust back, makes the mind agitated, but slightly tilted forward, chin tucked in. Then the lips slightly apart. Then the tongue resting behind the top teeth near the palate. And why is that? All of this is practical, you know. And this is the yogis have found that you don't have to dribble. It prevents you from dribbling and swallowing your spit all the time. It's very practical. Okay, for 30 minutes, most of us won't bother, but if you're sitting there for hours, and then that's your mouth, your jaw relaxed, lips apart, tip of the tongue behind the top teeth. And then finally your eyes. Well, all the greatest yogis, those who meditate day and night, during the day, the light is there and you need the mind to be sharp. And so even though you won't be distracted by that point, your mind's quite subtle, but the light coming in helps the mind keep sharp. But for most of us, you know, we get distracted if we have our eyes open. And anyway, we're only here for 30 minutes, well, 20 by now. So having your eyes lightly closed, perhaps, and then your eyes, though, looking beneath your eyelids, your eyes need to be looking down, as if you're looking along your nose towards the ground. So there's your bottom, your legs, your hands, your back, your shoulders, jaw, lips, tongue, eyes, head. Settle into this position and then forget about it because your body doesn't meditate. So now we can do our little, we can have the meditation. Thank you very much, Matt. So you just contemplate. I will lead the meditation. You just think the thoughts. This meditation is basically a recitation of the Sanskrit syllables. And why? Well, all the holy beings. I mean, all the Tibetans, the Dharma's been there since 1200 years, something like that. But they don't translate the mantras into Tibetan. They've left them in Sanskrit because it's said to be something very powerful from these great, from centuries now. There's something very powerful about these sounds. And the thing is, because of this relationship between the wind energy and the mind, and because in Tantra, wind energy, the prana, is sound. Sound, and purest sound is these syllables, which is what the mantras are made of. It's like it's a language, it's just words like anything else, but there's said to be something very powerful about these sounds. So why are we blessing our speech? Well, we need speech. Forget about whether you want to be leading beings to enlightenment and giving them all the right advice with your speech. It's the greatest gift of the Buddha, the power of speech, they call it. But we need speech in daily life. So what do we do with it? We waste it. We lie. We speculate. We rabbit on about utter nonsense. We say harsh words, we abuse people, and we badmouth people behind back. So we completely pollute our speech, which pollutes our wind energies, which eventually creates karma to be sick. And then it affects the mind. So the mind and the body are intimately linked. So speech is unbelievably powerful. So the way to bless the speech, one is to be silent. Two is to not lie, not badmouth, not rabbit on, not harsh speech behind backs. And then also to actually actively purify the speech by the practices like this, or by saying mantra, just by you saying Om Mani Padme Hum throughout the day, you're purifying your speech, you're purifying your mind, and you're benefiting others. So it's got such powerful meaning. So this sweet little practice of reciting these mantras and visualizing, imagining, okay? So first, the first little one is just this refuge prayer, you'll see it. 2 little lines. Konshog, Sumla, Kyabsuchi, Drola, Penchir, Sange, Shog. Konshog, Sumla, Kyabsuchi, Drola, Penchir, Sange, Shog. I take refuge in the 3 jewels. May I become a Buddha to benefit all. So now you just contemplate. You visualize, imagine the Buddha above your crown. And then now, you imagine on your tongue is the syllable R, the Sanskrit syllable. We obviously don't do it. If we don't know Sanskrit or Tibetan, we just visualize the Roman letters, AH, R, on your tongue. So now it turns into a moon disk, flat, like a flat white cushion on your tongue. Then on top of the moon cushion is a white Om, in the center, standing upright. Just imagine. And it's surrounded by the white vowels. So we have to imagine this, don't we? They're going clockwise, the white vowels. And then circling the white vowels, counterclockwise, are the red consonants. Just imagine standing upright. And then circling those, the red consonants are the syllables, the blue syllables is dependent related heart mantra, as Rinpoche says, or as we might call it, the mantra, the syllables, the mantra of dependent arising. All on your tongue, circling clockwise. So the white vowels, the red consonants, the blue dependent related heart mantra syllables, all on your tongue. So now imagine light beams radiate out. Go back a bit. Go back a bit. Yeah. Go back a bit. Sorry. Thank you, Matt. They radiate out to all the 10 directions, and they hook the blessings and the power. Think of this, the blessings and the power of all the speech of all the both mundane beings and the super mundane, all the so as Lama says, hooks this energy. And so as Rinpoche says, it includes the power of speech from beyond samsara, of all the Buddhas, all the bodhisattvas, all the great Arya holy beings, the arhants, the yogis, and even the power of speech of ordinary beings who use appropriate speech. All of this, the power and the blessings of all of this speech throughout the universe, all the directions of the universe. All of this, all the beings, as Rinpoche says, who have achieved the power of words, who have actualized the power of truth. And this especially means, when you hear the teachings of the Dalai Lama, for example, he's speaking words just like we can speak. We can repeat his words, but his words have unbelievable power because they're coming from his realizations. They're not just empty words. They're genuine. They're coming from the experience, which is why when we hear teachings from our teachers and from the great beings, they have so much effect upon us. These words, everyone can say these words, but they're coming from the realizations. That's incredibly powerful. And all of this, and due to the power of abiding in silence, they've achieved this, as Rinpoche says, of living in the morality of abstaining from the negative karma of speech. All the words of these beings have so much power. Whatever they want, it brings success. It happens. And all the blessing power of all the holy speech from those who are beyond samsara, all the yogis and the Buddhas and the bodhisattvas, all this is hooked in the aspect of all these syllables. And it all comes and returns into and absorbs into the syllables on our tongues, making them radiant and powerful and marvelous. And so now, you can go up a bit now, man, thanks for the people. Now we can recite, now we visualize from the white vowels on our tongue, radiant nectar flows down and fills our entire body. Imagine this, want this, completely filling us. And this purifies all the negative, all this, well, think even of purifying all the suffering of our bodies, all the pain and aches and sickness and suffering, but also purifies the karmic seeds in our mind of all the harm we've ever done since beginningless time with our bodies, since beginningless time, all the harm we've done to sentient beings. All of this is totally purified, eradicated by this blissful white light nectar filling us as we recite the syllables, as we recite the vowels. Om a a I u ri ri li li e o ao ang a swaha. Om a a I u ri ri li li e o ao ang a swaha. Om a a I u ri ri li li e o ao ang a swaha. Imagine you're totally full of this radiant white nectar, completely having purified all your body and all the karma we've ever created. by harming sentient beings. Completely purified, full of this blissful nectar. And now, as we recite the consonants, the red nectar pours down from all these syllables on our tongue, completely filling us, and this time purifying our speech. Purifying, first of all the karmic imprints from all the harsh speech, lying, and all the nonsense. And even if we don't lie in the day, often we just speculate. We don't even think we're not speaking the truth. But it just confuses sentient beings and makes a mess of ourselves. We mightn't even consciously lie. This is one thing we do all the time, speaking all this nonsense, thinking we're speaking the truth, you know. So all the harsh speech, all the negative speech, all the bad mouthing behind backs, all the rabbiting on about nothing, and all the incorrect speech, all of this instantly purified, and all the karmic results of this, full of this blissful red nectar. Om yed, oh no, Om ka ganga, cha janya, ta dana, ta dana, pa ba ma, yada lava, sha haksa svaha. Om ka ganga, cha janya, ta dana, ta dana, pa ba ma, yada lava, sha haksa svaha. Om ka ganga, cha janya, ta dana, ta dana, pa ba ma, yada lava, sha sahaksha svaha. Full of this red nectar, totally purified our speech. How amazing. So now, as we recite the blue syllables, the syllables of the emptiness. Here, now, this nectar completely full, this blissful blue nectar pours out and fills us completely. This time purifying the mind. Which part of the mind? The delusions, the nonsense, the misconceptions, the misconception that there's an inherent me, which gives rise to the misconception of intense, unbelievable emotional hunger of attachment to get what the me wants. And then the distress and the panic of aversion when attachment doesn't get what it wants, which is anger and despair and depression, and then all the other nonsense, all the other painful suffering states of mind, all these misconceptions, all these deluded thoughts deep in the bones of our being that are the source of any suffering that has ever existed and the source of why we cause suffering to others. All of this eradicated, can you imagine, by this blissful blue nectar. And why can they be eradicated? Because they're misconceptions. When we understand this, it's a revelation. And this is what Buddha has found, that these delusions, this nonsense is not intrinsic to us. It's not at the core of our being. It doesn't define us. Therefore, it can be removed. So we imagine this, totally eradicating all of this nonsense as the blue nectar fills us completely. Om ye dhamma hetu prabhava hetun te shan tatagato yevadat te shan shayo nirodha evam vadi maha shamanaye svaha. Om ye dhamma hetu prabhava hetun te shan tatagato yevadat te shan shayo nirodha evam vadi maha shamanaye svaha. Om ye dhamma hetu prabhava hetun te shan tatagato yevadat te shan shayo nirodha evam vadi maha shamanaye svaha. Full of this blue nectar, completely purified the mind. Blissful, radiant, clear. So now we imagine the syllables of the dependent related heart mantra, the blue ones on our tongue, dissolve into the red consonants. The red consonants dissolve into the white vowels. The white vowels dissolve into the Om. The Om dissolves into the moon disk. And the moon disk turns into an R. And the R turns into pink-colored nectar. And this dissolves into your tongue. Your tongue becomes of Vajra nature. The tongue becomes indestructible. Nothing can harm or take away or destroy the power of your speech or the power of mantra. Have such confidence that all the power and blessings of the speech of all the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, all the great sages, the yogis, have entered your speech, and that your speech is perfected. Think, I have perfected my speech. And this means that means that whatever you say, any sound you utter, is necessarily a benefit to whoever hears it. And all the sentient beings, also it subdues their delusions, it calms them. We can see this. You know, you can, if one kind word can be like a miracle for somebody, you know. This is so clear. So imagine your speech now is so, and it's powerful, meaning everything you say is benefit to whoever hears it. Can you imagine that? You benefit the birds, the mosquitoes, the ants, the cockroaches, animals, the pussycat, your humans, the next door neighbor, your speech, whatever it might, you just might say good morning. It will be beneficial to whoever hears it. And of course, you can give advice. If you learn to teach, the words you say can lead beings to enlightenment. This is the greatest gift of the Buddha. Without speech, we can't communicate with the Buddha. You can see a Buddha, a million Buddhas a day. If you can't hear them speak, we need this because that's the level we function at, the conceptual level. So we need concepts. They lead us to the experience of truth, of reality, of freedom from suffering. Speech is the most important gift. So in our daily lives even, we need it so badly. And whatever you say, you'll be fulfilled. You'll get what you need, you know, especially if you want to benefit sentient beings. So by thinking this way, your speech becomes marvelous. And of course, all your mantras become much more powerful. Because the mantras, the sound, the wind energy, like I said, is linked completely to the mind. The mind and wind, the subtle states of mind, mental consciousness, all the thoughts are linked inextricably to these wind energies. And your wind energy is the physical and the mind is the mind, and they affect each other clearly. So just for a couple of minutes until the 7:30, just relax and imagine your mind as vast as space, clear and pure and blissful, which is your nature, which is our potential. Just the first few moments, we'll just do a little bit of the first part of Mahamudra. Simply focus on your mind. Focus on whatever arises in your mind. No comment about it. No worried about what it is. Just allow the thoughts to come and go and watch them. Clear and clear. Just try and think clear. And then the second part of Mahamudra, when the mind gets really kind of subtle, and maybe for most of us it won't be that, but it doesn't matter, is to now, as you continue to watch just for a second, as we continue to watch the mind, your mind stays, your awareness, your attention stays on the mind. But part of it, you kind of conjure a subtle kind of awareness that is observing to try to catch the way your ego works, to try to catch the feeling of this intrinsic me we totally believe exists there. Try and notice that. The way we grasp at the I, the way the I seems to manifest. Just see if you can catch it. Stay focused on the mind. And so now we think, so whatever end of the day it is for us, if it's the beginning of the day, we make this strong determination, a strong decision to ourselves. I'm going to watch my speech like a hawk. You know, I mean, it's remarkable the difference this can make if you make the decision. We can see our speech is so uncontrolled because we don't pay attention. But if you pay attention and make a decision today, you know, whatever comes out of my mouth, you don't have to walk around looking holy. You can still say good morning and laugh and talk about the weather, but you're conscious. It's for the benefit of others. And the one way to think is this, you know, when you're with others, think like the bodhisattvas. Your body and your speech is for their benefit. That's why you exist. Instead of this feeling of me plodding through life, you know, this, when you're with others, you think you're there for them. So your speech will be useful, even just chatting about the weather, you know. And then when you're on your own, you watch your mind. This is making every second of the day practice, becoming conscious, you know. And we dedicate with our little prayer, Matt. Our little cutest little prayer. I can't believe this practice. I love it. I just adore it. This little prayer, the dedication prayer, whoever would have thought to think this way. You look at the words. It's just wonderful. May my tongue have all the courage of the ones gone to bliss. By the power manifesting from these glorified words, may all sentient being be subdued. Whatever words I say, may all these actions be accomplished immediately. In other words, the things that you need to get done and so on and so forth. And all your words benefit others. How amazing. Okay. That's it, sweetie pies. So I think, I think that's it. I'll see you, I think on next month is another days. I'm going to be doing Thursdays or something. I can't remember. Isn't it, Matt? Something like that?
Yes, Thursday.
Thursday, July. Okie dokie, we'll see you next Thursday then. Well, not this Thursday, but maybe this Thursday already. It must be this Thursday, isn't it?
That's the first.
Oh, that'll be a couple of days. See you in a few days then. Okay, darlings, keep moving. Make your body, speech, and mind useful for your sake and others.
Thank you, Venerable.